Welcome to Module 4 of the Documenting NEPA Categorical Exclusion course, brought to you by the Local Programs Office of the Washington State Department of Transportation. This module will cover the topics of Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act, as well as hazardous materials. You may find it helpful to follow along with the CE form, which is available on the Local Programs Environmental Services website. There are multiple modules hosted on our website, so be sure to watch them all.
Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966 requires federal agencies to consider the effects on historic properties of projects they carry out, assist, fund, permit, license, or approve. Historic properties are cultural resources that are eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. The term historic properties is often used informally to refer to historic buildings or structures. Section 106 is a consultative process. There is no prescribed outcome. Cultural resources can be buildings, structures, artifacts, or locations. In Washington State, cultural resources generally must be at least 50 years old. Under Section 106, a cultural resource must be evaluated for its eligibility for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. Only a small portion of cultural resources meet the significance criteria to be eligible for listing in the National Register. The Washington State Division of the Federal Highway Administration has negotiated a Section 106 programmatic agreement with the Washington State Historic Preservation Officer. The programmatic agreement, or PA, governs how Section 106 reviews will be handled for projects that receive FHWA funding or approval. One of the main components of the PA is a list of project types that have minimal potential to cause effects to historic properties and can therefore be exempted from further Section 106 review. The Section 106 PA is in Appendix J of our NEPA CE guidebook. It's important to realize that the PA does not apply on federal or tribal lands. State-funded projects can use the exemptions to satisfy Executive Order 2102. For projects that cannot be exempted with the PA, a Section 106 consultation is required. The consultation is initiated with the submittal of an area of potential effects to the specific project's consulting parties. At minimum, the State Historic Preservation Officer is consulted, but most projects in Washington State also include one or more Indian tribes. The Area of Potential Effects, or APE, defines the project's area of impacts. It includes the proposed work activities, including staging areas, access roads, utility relocations, stormwater improvements, etc. Make sure you consider the extent of ground disturbance, both horizontally and vertically. So we're looking for the depth of proposed excavations. Also consider whether the project will have indirect effects, visual or noise, on adjacent historic buildings. Because we are submitting these as a PDF electronically, you can include lots of supporting figures like maps, photos, project plans, so that the consulting parties can really get a good understanding of your project. WashDOT has obtained area of interest maps from the 29 federally recognized Indian tribes in Washington State, as well as from 3 Oregon tribes and 2 Idaho tribes. The area of interest maps are on a WashDOT GIS layer and are used to determine which tribes to consult with on each project. Unlike archaeological sites, which include material remains that can be identified by archaeologists during a cultural resource survey, traditional cultural properties, or TCPs, often do not include artifacts and therefore cannot be identified by archaeologists. Consultation with tribes helps to identify whether a project may include TCPs. Sometimes tribes ask for an ethnographic or TCP study for projects in sensitive locations. Many tribes have staff with experience in this type of resource, and they are often willing to work directly with agencies to conduct the appropriate research. There are 3 possible determinations of effect under Section 106. No effect to historic properties, no adverse effect to historic properties, or adverse effect to historic properties. WashDOT, on behalf of FHWA, makes the determination of effect for the project, and the SHPO either concurs or does not concur. The determination of effect is usually accompanied by a cultural resources assessment that describes the good faith effort made to identify historic properties in the APE and what effect the project will have on them. Under the Section 106 regulations, the State Historic Preservation Officer has 30 days to respond to a project's determination of effect. Projects that result in adverse effect require the preparation of a Memorandum of Agreement, or MOA. The MOA specifies mitigation measures developed through consultation with the consulting parties. These may include documentation of a historic building, data recovery excavation of an archaeological site, elements of public benefit or education, etc. Each MOA is unique and tailored specifically to the project. The required signatories of an MOA are FHWA and DAHP, the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation. If other federal agencies are involved, they likely would also be required signatories. The invited signatories include WashDOT, the local agency, affected Indian tribes, and others, including historical societies. The ACHP, Advisory Council on Historic Preservation, must be invited to participate, but they only rarely get involved in the preparation of MOAs. The execution of an MOA concludes the Section 106 review on a project. Unlike the mandated 30-day review of the determination of effect, there is no specified time frame for the MOA. Similar to the Section 106 review, before hiring a consultant to complete a hazmat report, local agencies should complete the hazardous and problem waste section of the NEPA CE form to determine the level of reporting that will be required. During the hazardous and problem waste review, some of the key questions include whether the project is acquiring property, whether there are known contaminated sites in the project area or in the vicinity, whether there will be excavation and what the depth of the excavation will be, and whether the excavation will intercept groundwater. To begin your hazardous and problem waste review, start by consulting the Department of Ecology's website. Conduct a field visit of your project area. Right-size your hazmat report by contacting local programs. WashDOT's Hazardous Materials program provides advice regarding the level of hazmat reporting required to satisfy federal and state regulations. Before hiring a consultant to complete a hazmat report, contact local programs who will discuss the project with the WashDOT Hazardous Materials program and determine the appropriate reporting level. The Department of Ecology has two different ways to search for hazardous and problem waste sites. One is a map-based search tool. The other is a database search if you know the name of the property you're looking for or parcel.
Thank you for watching this module of the Documenting NEPA Categorical Exclusion course. There are other modules available on our website, so be sure to check them out.